Oh, he's such a filthy little demagogue. Filthy little demagogue. Doesn't answer the question, makes it all about him, solipsist that he is. And then he whips around and accuses Rand Paul of endangering his life. Fauci held up a page from Rand Paul's website that read, "Fire Tony Fauci." Now, Fauci is the highest paid federal employee and one of the longest serving. He works for us. So we have a right not to want him to work for us anymore. That's called democracy. But according to Fauci, that's illegitimate. He blamed Rand Paul's webpage for alleged threats of violence against him. In other words, if you criticize me, you're trying to get me killed. This is how they are, liberals. Passive aggression, feline, not canine. Meanwhile, Fauci refused to take any responsibility for the lockdowns that he supported that wrecked the country in a lot of ways. Watch.
Do you think the lockdowns were good for our kids? Do you think we slowed down the death rate? More people have died now under President Biden than did under President Trump. You are the one responsible. You are the architect. You are the lead architect for the response from the government. And now 800,000 people have died.
Right.
So you think it's a winning success, what you've advocated for government?
Senator, first of all, if you look at everything that I said, you accuse me of in a monolithic way telling people what they need to do. Everything that I've said has been in support of the CDC guidelines. Wear a mask, get boosted.
And you've advocated to make it coercive
take a look at everything
you've advocated
that I've said.
that it be done by mandate.
Are you following the reasoning here? So the first time Rand Paul asks him a question, Fauci says, almost 1 million people have died. You can't ask me that question. So then Rand Paul says, yeah, almost 1 million people have died and you were making the rules. So you're not taking any responsibility for that? And Fauci, rather than answering the question or manning up in any way, says, oh, I wasn't really in charge. I was just giving suggestions on TV. Filthy demagogue. Tony Fauci's also been caught, by the way, because it couldn't get uglier, you would think, spending millions of taxpayer dollars on horrifying experiments on animals. No one benefits from this. The animals don't deserve it. This time he's been caught trying to create transgender monkeys. Again, if you wrote a screenplay with that in it, about this whole moment, about Fauci, the fact the key to beating corona might be Viagra, your screenplay would be laughed out of the movie studio. In any case, PETA has been on this. PETA has discovered that the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases spent more than $200 grand on a proposed experiment that would, quote, subject male rhesus monkeys to feminizing hormone therapy to see whether that makes them more susceptible to HIV to help transgender women. Now, we wouldn't know about any of this if it weren't for PETA. Whatever you think of PETA, this is a service to the country. Kathy Guillermo is a senior VP there, and she joins us tonight. Kathy, thanks so much for coming on. Did you make this up?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? I mean, it's an experiment that an 8th grade science student could figure out is totally meaningless. But no, unfortunately, we did not. It's right on the website of what NIH funds. They take male monkeys. They put them in metal boxes. That's where they're forced to live. They subject them to hormone, so-called hormone treatment. And from that, they're supposed to learn something about HIV transmission. Now, never mind that monkeys don't actually contract HIV. They don't actually develop AIDS. This is a study that could be done with human volunteers. And we might actually find something out that would help human beings.
So there's a lot of money. I mean, I think I know PETA does not support this, but I think if you were to poll people, they would say, look, if you can prove that something's going to save human lives or, get to a massive advance in scientific knowledge, maybe. But so many of these animal experiments seem completely pointless. They're inflicting massive cruelty on animals who are helpless, and they seem driven by research dollars. Is that an unfair suspicion?
That's just absolutely correct. 20 billion research dollars. And in fact, we wrote to Fauci last month and we pointed out that HIV experiments on monkeys have killed tens of thousands of monkeys. They've cost us billions of dollars, and we have no vaccine to prevent HIV. Now, you would think that 4 decades of utter failure would inspire NIH to try something different, but they haven't so far. And that's why I think it's really important that people get in touch with their members of Congress and let them know we need leadership there that's going to make a change, that's going to embrace what we're talking about, our research modernization deal, and stop funding cruel experiments that don't work.
If you treat animals, particularly evolved animals like monkeys, like they can't experience pain or their suffering has no meaning, I mean, if that's really your attitude, and clearly it is the attitude of a lot of people in the scientific community, and Tony Fauci included, what does that say about you, honestly?
Oh, I think it says you're not a very good human being, first of all.
I think that's true.
And you're not paying attention to the science. We can't even keep these monkeys disease-free in the federally funded National Primate Research Centers. We've uncovered evidence they have tuberculosis, valley fever, even cholera. They shouldn't even be used for experiments. And of course, what the experiments do to them, they turn them into psychological messes. They circle their cages, they bite their own arms, they pull out their own fur. It's a real tragedy.
Yeah, it's so awful that I almost don't want to know more about it. But I appreciate what you've told us tonight. Kathy, thank you.
Thank you.
So a fascinating